My guests will be sharing their experiences with us on this show. And my first guest tonight is Wilta Chemutai. Wilta, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you.
So Wilta, and obviously I want to applaud you again for being courageous enough to come out and share your story tonight. So maybe you had briefed my producers that you have undergone abortion severally.
Yes, I have.
Maybe just share your story with us.
So my first abortion was when I was second year in the university. By then I had gotten 2 kids before. So my second born was around 6 months old, and then I got pregnant again. Okay. So previously my mom was very mad at me, and she told me I couldn't stay with her. Okay, so I went and lived with my aunt. Then my aunt took care of the baby. I went back to school that was 3rd year.
So this is now your second child?
That was now my second child. Then after around 6 months again, I got pregnant.
Now with your would-be 3rd child?
Yeah, would be my 3rd child.
And you tell mom, and mom gets very mad?
No, I didn't even tell her. She would just like go, berserk on me. So I called a friend of mine, and then I just told her, I have messed up again. And you see, with a 6-month baby, and you're in campus, and you already have another one.
Who your mother is taking care of?
Yes. So it was so crazy. And at that moment, I was just so hurt. I didn't know what to do. And that happened after I failed P2, by the way. I swallowed P2, and then after 4 weeks or so, I didn't get my period.
So you were being careful?
I was being careful. Okay, I thought so.
You thought you were being careful?
Yes, I thought so, actually. So when I realized that I was pregnant, I was so devastated. But I called my friend. I told her I've messed up. I didn't even have money. So she sent me money. And then I talked to another friend of mine back in Nakuru. And then he talked to another friend of his. And then they agreed. He took me to an abortion center somewhere in Nakuru.
And so the day that you were supposed to go in, what was going through your mind?
I wanted it out of my body.
As a mother of 2, you didn't feel any other 2 ways about it?
I wouldn't think of what to do. You see, my other baby is with my aunt. My other one is my mom. Where do you take another one?
So you were thinking around now your financial situation.
Yeah,
you couldn't take care of this child.
I wouldn't. I couldn't. So I went into the clinic, and we actually bargained.
How much was the initial fee?
The initial figure was 5,000, but I didn't have that money. So we agreed that I would pay 3,000.
And how far along were you?
A month old.
So 4-5 weeks?
Yeah, 4-5 weeks. Okay. So they procured an abortion, but the problem was that my cervix could not open. So they had to inject me with some drug so that they can dilate the cervix. And then they inserted some things, liquid or something. Then they told me to go back to campus, lie down, and then I would only remove it when I've seen blood, which I did that.
So was it an easy process? Was it a painful process?
It was a painful process because I felt like there was a lot of contraction. And then I bled for almost 2 months.
And at no point did you seek additional medical help?
I went to the sanatorium in campus. And then I lied to my doctor that my period had extended for 2 months. There's no way I would say I had an abortion. So my doctor prescribed for me Femiplan. I took it for around a month, and I was back to normal.
Femiplan is a birth control?
It's a birth control, but they gave me to control bleeding. I don't know how it works, but they did.
Then you went back to school. Life continued?
Life went on very well. Life continued. But at some point, I was guilty. Guilt comes in, anger comes in. Because then the guy who was responsible just told me I was on my own. Go sort your thing out.
So your relations with him ended entirely?
Entirely, it ended entirely.
Did you feel any sense of remorse, regret at that time?
No, at that time I was not remorseful.
For you, it was you had solved a problem?
Yeah, for me, I had solved a crisis.
A crisis?
A crisis at that time.
So then life goes on? Life
goes on. I went to campus, I finished school, I graduated with first class honors. Funny. And then I went looking for a job. Then I met some guy again. We had a relationship, an year. After that 1 year, I got pregnant.
How old were you then?
By then I was 22.
So there you are, 22. You've just tested positive. You're pregnant.
Yes.
Fourth pregnancy.
Yeah, fourth pregnancy.
And you inform this guy. What's
Yes.
his reaction?
He was actually okay. Oh, I'm going to take care of the pregnancy. But from my experience before, because we had moved in with him at some point. So this guy would beat me up, you know, like terribly, and then also beat my kid up. So at some point, my kid was traumatized. He would cry, you know, something small, he's beaten up. So I thought, another pregnancy with this guy, then where would my life go? And by then I just lost my job. So I have a kid, I have no rent, no food.
You're in a bad relationship.
A very bad relationship, an abusive relationship. So I talked with another friend of mine. Then I had heard that she had also procured an abortion. That was a month. So I called her, and then she told me she did it in Italy, some place in Italy. I had some money with me, and then she took me there. The doctor told us we were to pay like 5,000, which I paid. I paid, and I sat on that seat when you're waiting. And then I was like, oh God, why should I do this? You know? I even remember when they just took me to the operation room, I just held my tummy and said, baby, I'm sorry, but I have to do this, okay? I was like, I have no other choice. So the doctor was like, okay, it's going to hurt a little bit, but it will be over in like five minutes.
How far along were you then?
A month.
So again, 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, 4 to 5 weeks. So the doctor was like, okay, we did it. It's some squeezing with something, I don't know.
So this one was much easier than the previous one.
Yeah, this one was much easier than the previous one because like after 10 minutes, I was okay. I didn't feel any pain actually. And I went home.
And after you went home, did you think about it, or once again, life continued?
No, when I went home, actually, I had some complications. First, I would not go for a long haul for like a whole month. Then I bled for another 2 months. I lost a lot of blood. I lost weight, you know, 1 GB, something like that. I really lost weight. I remember actually when I went back home, I actually had to go to the clinic, another clinic of a friend of mine. And she gave me some drugs because by then it had not stopped completely.
So that's 2 months down the line.
Yeah,
You're
2
still
months.
bleeding.
Yeah,
and
2 months down the line, I was still bleeding.
Why didn't you seek medical attention earlier?
You see, with abortion, it becomes very difficult to go to a doctor. Probably I was naive, I don't know. But to go to a doctor and say I procured an abortion and I'm bleeding, you see?
So you were embarrassed?
Very much embarrassed, and the stigma that comes with it. And according to me, it was a secret. So I wouldn't like say it openly.
Looking back today, do you regret any of the choices that you made?
Yes, I do. Because I remember after that time, after that abortion, 6 months down the line, I got pregnant again.
So baby number 3, but in the sense of pregnancies, it was pregnancy number 5?
Yeah, pregnancy number 5.
So pregnancy number 5?
Yes.
And was this with the same man? Or
No. It was another man I met at work.
So you had moved on?
Yeah, I'd moved on.
So with pregnancy number 5,
yes.
Did you again think, I don't want to keep this pregnancy?
Yes, I did. In fact, I called the same doctor. And then I remember he told me I'm very stupid. And I was like, yeah, I am. Because I was not so cautious enough, you know.
So were you on any birth control?
No, I wasn't. I was those guys who thought birth control is not recommended. Too religious, let me just say that.
So you were not on birth control because
wasn't.
of your religion?
Yeah, I wasn't.
Can I ask which faith that was? Or that is?
Just Christian, or maybe my belief, I think.
So doesn't the same faith, and you'll have to excuse me here for being hard on you,
it's
because
okay.
If you're saying you're not on birth control because of your faith, doesn't the same faith also preach abstinence?
Yes,
until marriage?
It does.
So how do you reconcile the two?
For me, you see how relationships come, okay? Sometimes you have to, compromise, or at some point you just have to compromise.
So when you say compromise, you're coming from the school of thought that if you're in a relationship, you must have sex.
Yes, that was my school of thought then.
Do you still believe
no,
the same now?
No, I don't.
Obviously, you're older, you know better.
Yeah, maybe more mature.
So there you are. Tell us now, pregnancy number 5.
pregnancy number 5, I remember I called the doctor and I told him, I'm pregnant. Can I get another abortion? And then he told me, no, you can't.
Because he was concerned.
He was concerned, and Makiu had bled. Remember, I had bled before. So he told me if I was to get another abortion, probably I would die. I would lose a lot of blood. And at that point, I decided, wow. So I had a talk with another pastor, and he really counseled me and told me, why don't you just keep the pregnancy? And things will sort themselves out.
Was the man that you were with at that time, you said he was willing to accept the pregnancy?
No, he wasn't. He actually told me to go and get an abortion.
So it was the previous one, pregnancy number 4, who was willing to accept
Yeah,
it, but
he was
number 5,
yeah.
he wasn't willing
He
to.
wasn't, actually, he wasn't.
And when you spoke to your mom about it?
I didn't tell my mom, it's my sister who told my mom. And then my mom just kept quiet. She
How
didn't say
old were you
much.
at that point?
24.
So then how did you finally make up your mind?
After counseling with a pastor and in another church, I didn't go to my church. And we really talked. He gave me examples of women who had mistakes of pregnancy, but they kept their pregnancy and their kids turned out to be amazing. Okay? So at that point, I decided whatever comes, I'll keep my pregnancy. But in mind, because I was working in a private school then, they wouldn't like hire pregnant women.
But you already hired.
I was already hired, but I'm pregnant.
You
yes.
Learning you're pregnant?
Yes, they would.
Is that legal? I don't think that's legal.
It is not
if you have any lawyers in the house.
It's not legal, but that's what happens in the ground. So I had to look for a job. I went hunting for a job, went for interviews, and luckily I got a job with the government. So with that, I moved out, nursed my pregnancy, got a beautiful baby girl. She's now 6 years old.
So how do you feel today when you look at your beautiful baby girl who is 6 years old?
Oh my, that girl she's cheeky, but she's very good. She loves and I'm so happy.
And you're happy that you decided to keep her?
I'm happy that I made a choice to keep her.
So today, if I had to ask you, are you pro-life or are you against abortion? If you had to talk to other young girls watching us right now today.
I would tell them to choose life. Because when I look at my daughter today, she's so happy, she's so jumpy, she writes well, she draws a lot. And when I think that maybe I would have just ended her life, I really feel that.
Looking back, are you able to connect the dots and see perhaps what were the wrong choices you were making so that you found yourself in that situation, 5 pregnancies, by the time you were 24, 25?
So I just came to learn that I was so naive and my idea of relationships was just way out of it. And I learned that people can really take advantage of you if you're not really strong. And that's why I ended up with 5 pregnancies at 25, imagine. It's weird,
No, it's not weird, it's happening on the ground.
Yeah, but I came to learn that you can change a life. And that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years after I went through counseling with Pulse. Today I speak to my girls and I tell them, you can never choose abortion. Because abortion breaks you, you just regret, the anger is there. Because at some point I was always angry. I would shout on my kids, I'm angry. Sometimes,
You hadn't dealt with it.
I hadn't. Sometimes I'm just depressed out of no reason. But after I went through counseling, my life was changed completely. Because I accepted that it was wrong. I asked for forgiveness from God. And I reconciled my life. And I went back to school. So at the moment, I'm doing a master's degree.
Amazing. On that note, we'll be taking a very quick break. We'll be right back here on Real Talk.